us getting wasted tonight.
I am completely out of ammo.
Cross my heart, smack me dead, stick a lobster on my head.
The situation has indeed worsened. You think?
And when I return, I'm gonna drink a bottle of scotch, as if it were Chicky von Richthofen's blood, and celebrate.
Afraid we're at an impasse. You really are filthy.
And fine.
Come upstairs and see my etching.
Television shows. I am Jeff, joined as always by Kevin. Forgotten television shows. We are the Graveyard Shift, baby. In case you missed our intro here, we are live. We are talking about definitely something back from the dead. 1994, The Skeleton Warriors, baby. One of the best intros of all time. It is so metal, baby. Kevin, do you have any memories of this, or is this the most metal intro of all time?
No, it is not actually.
What? Get the fuck out of here.
No, dude, the most metal theme song of all time and will remain the most metal theme song of all time. X-Men.
Dude, that's like, wait, that is around this time, isn't it?
Same people too.
Yeah, baby, metal.
No. But no, you have to say it with the respect that it deserves. Skeleton Warriors.
Bad to the bone. Dude, I gotta admit, the theme song is probably the catchiest thing about this show. Some of the characters are a bit little like, I think I'm watching a little bit of He-Man mixed with Thundercats, mixed with a little bit of Voltron, actually.
And G.I. Joe and Visionaries, maybe?
A little bit of everything, actually. It felt like a little blender.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. For once, I was kind of like, Pirates of Dark Water ain't so bad, is it?
Dude, Pirates of Darkwater was dope, bro. I actually like that by comparison.
The first 4 episodes are pretty good.
Oh, of Skeleton Warriors? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Pirates of Dark Water, but yeah, this was, yeah.
Well, the first, like, I want to say 3 or 4 of, like, Skeleton Warriors is actually pretty interesting, and then it kind of tends to fall off a little bit.
Well, that's where they have their plot lines and their filler episodes, and I think there's like 4 episodes that are like plots, and the rest is all kind of fillers. And it's not that the fillers were bad necessarily; they just weren't necessarily exciting.
That's true, because they were kind of like formulaic at best. And when we get to our episode breakdown, we'll kind of get through it all. But like, there are some pretty interesting concepts and episodes in here. And I do enjoy the show. And for full disclosure, and I know Kevin would agree with this, we do want to thank our buddy Will out there. If you're even still watching, you used to be part of our show. We want to thank you for bringing this show to our attention. This is my first time watching this show, and I did enjoy my time with it. So thank you, Will. We appreciate the idea a couple of years ago. Wish you were still with us, brother.
And I'd also personally like to thank Will for letting me know that my pot cartridges smell like pot. So today's episode is dedicated to the Raspberry Parfait.
Raspberry Parfait, let's go, baby.
Smells nothing like pot.
Nope,
Tested.
and don't tell your boss that.
No. Anyway, no.
Thanks, Will. We do appreciate it, brother. We would have loved to have you on if you were interested.
So this show, I remember the action figures. I do not remember watching the show.
See, I remember like none of this at all. I don't even think I caught this.
I remember Baron Dark and his motorcycle, or the sled, whatever it was. That's all I remember is those 2 action figures and the title. Beyond that, I remember nothing of this other than it existed. And I was kind of like, all right, that's my little brother's kind of thing. I was more into the Tick by 94. Like that was my jam. I was there for the Tick. I was there for Batman. I want to say adult, but more classic cartoons. Like I was around for Looney Tunes, most certainly.
We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony.
Yes, definitely those. Because those were after school, I think. I don't remember if those were on Saturday mornings or not.
Yeah, it's Saturday on this point. At this point, I was watching like WWE Superstars or something like that, and just like whatever with Saturday morning cartoons because they were kind of dead by now.
I was letting everybody see my balls in 94 around this time. And what I was doing... Shout out
to Sarah Underwood. You got Kevin just where you wanted him.
Hell yeah. No, by that I mean I was wearing satin shorts that went up to my ass and was running for 4 miles at a time. In 95, I got a pair of spandex pants or shorts and wore them under those fucking satin shorts. And I ran like a champ. But anyway, yeah, I was
in Boy Scouts still, so I was like, get me out of here.
I was running track and cross country meets on Saturdays.
I was hiking on mountains and being like, I'm so done with this shit. Because 94 is when I made Eagle, and I was like, I'm out. That was my deal with my mom. If I make Eagle Scout, I'm gone. And she's like, all right, sure. I made Eagle in like 2 years. So I was like, bye, everybody.
Deuces. Now I want to go watch Krampus. Fucking pussy.
Whatever, bitch.
In your defense, at that same year, that was the last year, 94, when I went to my last camping thing with the Scouts. We went tomahawk throwing, and I bought like 2 or 3 fucking throwing tomahawks, and I'm still
awesome, bro.
Really good at throwing axes. So again, pussy.
Pussy who can throw an axe.
Pussy could split a flea's asshole. Yeah.
I remember doing that like crossbows and shit at our Boy Scout camp in San Diego. And I'm like, man, I'm actually kind of good at this. This is kind of funny.
You had crossbows? That's amazing.
Yeah, we had crossbows.
That's fucking cool. I am not great at archery. I like it, but I'm not great at it. But I've never fired a crossbow before.
Trip 260, shout out. But
not outside of
not
VR.
Anymore, because after 94, I'm like, I'm out. I'm good. And then it got kind of weird for the next like 30 years.
I respect that.
And we actually had something crazy in our troop, so I don't want to really talk about that. Not with me, but like with other people.
Canteen boy kind of weird,
or don't have loaded VHS tapes of prawn if you were a scout leader sort of thing. That was just after I made Eagle and I quit. And I'm like,
come on, man.
And I knew those people, so I had like, oh, that's kind of bad.
We used to call that being a good host. As long as it's not underage or anything inappropriate like that. That's a hero.
Finding it under your dad's bed. Like, yo, it's like a treasure trove. But to be fair, like, I ain't gonna get into the story. Fuck it. Never mind.
Can I just say, if you do that under your parents' bed, like when the pages are stuck together, you have to stop and think to yourself, those are your siblings. You're ripping apart.
When I was like fucking 7, I cut out pages of one of my dad's magazines and I took it to work and I showed my mom and I'm like, this looks like so-and-so. And she's like, where'd you get that from? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, that actually looks like her. That's really weird. And she showed the person that it looked like, and it really looked like her.
Oh, wow.
At the hospital, and she's like, oh, what? That's not me. And I'm like, what? It kind of does. And everybody was like, Yeah, it does. So it made the rounds for like a week or two, and I'm like, oh no, what did I do at like 7 years old?
What a funny coincidence, huh?
I was like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But my dad
That's
had already gotten out of the, yeah. So he was okay. Everybody was fine. Everybody was fine. Just saying.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Because everybody was like, damn, that is that girl. And she's like, no, it ain't me. But it was.
But it was. But in fact, it was her.
So to speak. Anyway, what are we talking about here? Nostalgia TV, Graveyard Shift, everybody. Skeleton Warriors from 1994. I never watched this. Don't have any memories of this. This was my first time watching. And I gotta admit, for the most part, it started off interesting. It ended interesting. But the middle section was kind of in the middle.
Slog.
For a show that was only 13 episodes, I can actually understand why it was only 13 episodes. But I will say, by the time we got to the end of episode 13, I think it was going somewhere interesting. And that's when it got cut off at the knees.
Yep. There was a little bit of evolution in the story, and then they cut it off.
Yeah, because
you're like, well,
was
wait,
it
was
wasn't
going
selling toys or whatever fucking show it was in the 90s.
Well, how many fucking characters were in this show? How many toys were you expecting to sell? There was the
a skeleton on a motorcycle, bro. Like that's fucking hardcore.
That's all there was to sell. The other skeletons were kind of dumb looking.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the good guys weren't interesting looking at all. Like there was nothing interesting about them per se.
Dude, Joshua and Justin were just like, who the fuck are these dweebs?
A little bit. I understand Joshua's supposed
Talon
to be...
was dope as hell, though. She was fucking sexy as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, that's how kinks start. We're not here to judge.
Exactly. Please don't kink shame me, bitches. Come on. Get the fuck on. I ain't Tobias Nexus. Just saying.
Let the
That's
first
brother
one
from
who
Geeks and
hasn't
Gamers,
wanked off
everybody, just
animation
saying.
cast the first stone.
Fucking glass house, bitch.
better get Windex then.
Shut up.
You don't want no
Welcome to
straight...
Sci-Fi Fridays, everybody. This is what we do around here. Enjoy.
Awesome.
I'll throw a stone at your house, bitch.
So anyway, the show starts off interesting. It's I think they might have gone in 90s directions that were just ill-fated for this series. And like
True.
Uncle's design with making him a futuristic commando and the prince being a futuristic knight, and the other prince being a zombie with a face on his chest like the Punisher, but with spikes coming out of the eyes. Like they had spikes coming out of their titties. Is really what it was,
baby.
Like really cold, super cold. And I did not care for that design at all. It was not practical. If you fell over, you're probably going to get hurt.
Yeah, there was a few decisions made with this show that were just like, I don't know if I would have done that even back in the 90s.
Well,
and everybody, we all survived this. Come on, let's be real here. We survived Crystal Pepsi, but we couldn't survive Skeleton Warriors.
Right now, come together.
Right now.
I liked Crystal Pepsi. It wasn't that bad.
No, it was pretty all right back then, but nobody liked it.
Yeah, no, nobody did. Nobody did.
It was just Pepsi without the dye. There was no change in the actual taste.
Yep.
Just saying. Just like Skeleton Warriors. There's no dye in the show, but it's got the same taste as everything else that was on TV at the same time.
This had fun concepts to it, though. Like the
It
fact
did.
that the bad guys became immortal but lost their flesh, except for their
Yes.
eyes. That was a lot of fun. That there was a lot to play with there, and they started to towards the last few episodes, when they started playing with the fact that they could put flesh back on the bones and take away that immortality.
Yes. Then
And
there
that
it could be defeated. Like the darkness within could be squashed at least a little bit.
Yeah, and at that point they really should have blown motherfuckers up. Like you don't have to show them getting
Yeah.
killed, but you could show explosions and not show that character again. It's okay. It was the
Right,
90s.
or-
They were okay with it.
Or what they were doing was they were bringing them back to human form. And then what would have to happen is if they wanted to stay evil, Baron Dark would have to reconvert them back to Skull and Bone, because that happened to what was the chick's name that was evil? Jesus Christ. None of these names were terribly remarkable or memorable.
Screech?
Yeah, Screech. Screech and the other guy, the cyborg. They became human once more, but then he had to bring them back in the following episode. You never saw him bringing him back, but they were in human form. And in the next episode, we're back to skeleton form. So the transformation sequences between that of like, you know what? You could have actually had a filler episode or even like a filler sequence on, hey, I'm bringing you back to skeleton form. Because it even comes to a point in one of the episodes where they're like, so we can all have our like dark heart destroyed and become human again. What happens if that happens to you, Baron Dark? And there's that look on his face and the tip off on the screen that, wait a minute, is he really not the big bad of this story? Is he basically like the Skeletor of this and there's something else behind the scenes? We don't know. They never get into it.
Yeah, because there was a war going on before Baron Dark broke the dark or the light and dark crystal.
Exactly.
Or separated them. And I think that's what we were going to start to find out come season 2. Should season 2 have ever happened?
What's up, guys?
Thank Christ it didn't.
No kidding. Now, I do think if the show had continued on, it might have been able to get in a little more in depth into some good characteristics and characters and in-depth story. But 13 episodes in, boy, they cut this shit off at the knees.
And you know what was upsetting the most to me? And I admit this only because I want to be like completely honest. I was heartbroken to find out that some of the showrunners on this were Eric and Julia Leewald. I'm like, oh,
dude, I know, right?
No,
I didn't even realize till you told me. I'm like, wait, I thought they were on X-Men at this time.
They were. I want to
say,
I don't know if they were doing both at the same time because I think it was the same production company or the same studio.
I believe so, actually.
Yeah.
So I feel like the second X-Men ended, they just jumped over to this to try and keep the work going.
And that's what you do. But they were not the creators of the show, not by any means. They didn't make any of the concepts for it and stuff like that. They just made sure that stories were going in a line. Everything had congruency and, made sure it was all ready to go for the cast.
Yeah, they had a pretty good cast. I feel like the story overall was pretty decent, but I feel like they made some decisions in 13 episodes that maybe you kind of speed it along because this isn't the 80s cartoon that you want to kind of like take your time with for like 50 or 60, 70 episodes. For the 90s, you might want to speed it up a little bit.
Oh, Christ. You know what else this reminded me of? Biker Mice from Mars. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Biker Mice is rad, but even I would agree with that too. Being like,
as soon as you
it
said
took a little
80s,
while to get going.
Yeah, as soon as you said 80s, and I know Biker Mice wasn't 80s, but that's just kind of what that made me think of. Like, it very much
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yeah, it tried to fit so many different tropes. Like, it wanted to have the PSA themes within each episode. But they
Yes.
didn't have PSAs at the end necessarily to tell you what you were supposed to have learned. There was, however, a riddle given to you by the narrator,
Which
who
was
amazing.
kind of rad, to be fair.
Yeah, like the narrator was truly the best part of this show. Like really better, even better than I think than the theme song. And I don't like
I would say
CGI.
so.
I don't
Yeah.
like CGI at all, but he was really good.
Well,
He
yeah,
was
it was
able
just
to
a
emote
skull
somehow,
just
too.
doing a little voiceover, and it seemed to work pretty fair.
Yeah.
And if anybody's wondering who the voice of the skull was, it was the voice of the character who played Lex Luthor's assistant in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. He was the old white guy who wasn't around for very long.
Not enough. I liked him.
I loved him, bro. And I'm like, man, that could have lasted a little bit longer.
He had some of the most diabolical monologues because he was so just kind of like, you thought he was going to be offended by what Lex was doing, but then he gives Lex like fatherly advice. Yeah, fatherly advice. Like, maybe you're right, but if you did it this way, you'd be extra right, sir. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
and maybe we should call the attorney. Yes, we should call the attorneys.
Call the attorneys. That was awesome.
God, the voice cast in this is pretty on point. So I got to give some special recommendations to that. To basically Skeleton Warriors for bringing on let's see here. Who did we have? We had Stephen Cooden, Jennifer Hale. We had Michael Corbett as Grimskull, Tony J as Golden Skull, and let's see here. Who else was there? We had Philip Clark as Baron Dark. That was pretty dope. Jeff Bennett as Prince Justin Lightstar, King of Luminicity. Nathan Carlson as Dr. Cyborn. Philip L. Clark as Baron Dark.
Prince Lightstar also was Liquid Snake.
Exactly. Cross that in your light bow and shoot it out the crossbow.
Oh, did I tell you like my snafu that I figured out with I was watching this the other night, and I was doing the same rabbit hole that you were just doing, looking through the voice cast and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And when I got to Jennifer Hale, I'd seen, because of course she's Jean Grey, and I was looking to see how many of the other X-Men were in this. None. Jennifer's the only one that was in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great as Talon. I loved her as Talon.
Yeah. Talon was like Tila mixed with Supergirl. And it worked
better. I was like, wait, you actually improved on something? Holy shit.
They wrote women much better in the 90s than they did the 80s, I assure you.
What? That's misogynist.
The 80s were not anyway.
The 80s were not great, we know. We grew up in it, baby.
We're not a product of it.
I was a product of the 70s. Thank you very much.
And I think part of my problem with this is so much like a 70s Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Kinda.
And that's where I was kind of like,
yeah, unfortunately, the most memorable moments of this show are the first 2 or 3 episodes and the last 2 or 3 episodes. The middle chunk is just bro, this is a slog to get through. What are we doing here?
Kinda, yeah. And then there's no PSAs at the end. You're like, well, shit, what was I supposed to fucking learn?
Yeah, you just got the narrator being like, and yes, if you don't trust this person, you must never trust anybody. What the fuck lesson is this?
Are you willing to sacrifice yourself? I don't think so. It's like, fuck no, I'm not.
It's yeah, no shit, Sherlock, for most of these, and not even. I mean, they tried to give a good message, but I don't think it landed the best.
Not necessarily, but I will say this about that. It was fucking entertaining. It
was
really was
entertaining.
that. Like, it
Yep.
was extremely well delivered. The animation, again, was neat.
Was
But
awesome, actually.
the delivery just kind of made it. Like, you were just kind of like, well, wow, why wasn't the episode that good? Like, I like what he said. Make the episode more like that shit.
Well, yeah,
it
you almost
was,
need
other
the
times it
narration going through like 2 or 3 times instead of just bookending the episode.
Yeah, kind of like moving the story along in a way. That probably would have been helpful.
And that would have made it a little more unique and a little more metal, because you have the skull like just before every commercial break being like, and who knows what's going to happen with this character as they decide like whether they're good or they're bad.
Yeah. It probably came down to a budgeting thing, and they could only afford so many lines.
Yeah, I mean, because they just kept reanimating the same damn skull over and over and over again. And we're in a Bly, Idaho Mike. This series is on YouTube. It's also on archive.org, everybody. So it is free to watch for just about everybody.
Yep. Where did you watch it? Did you watch it on Archive?
I watched it on the tube, brother.
Yeah, same here. And it was in order. I was so happy about that.
Yes, as well as I was. And it was only 13 episodes, so it is a quick watch for everybody. And I gotta say, other than a few episodes, it is a pretty easy, quick watch.
It's not bad. It is not a bad show. I have seen much worse. Again, this is a lot like a 70s Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but it is a 90s cartoon, so there's metal to it. So there's at least that. There are horrid-looking skeletons. There is at least that. It's got He-Man type action to it,
a little
but
bit.
Unfortunately, it's 90s He-Man. And that's where I'm kind of like, okay.
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, like Prince.
Kind of like, oh, this isn't that great for action.
Yeah, character designs were not as good as they could have been.
Not as unique either.
They had 6-inch spikes coming out of their Titas.
Hey, I like 6-inch spikes coming out of my Tetons. Like, geez.
It's cold out here.
Boing! We're feeling a little sassy tonight. It's Friday night, everybody. We're having fun.
Sorry, kids. I get bored and I make titty jokes easily. Nipple jokes specifically. It doesn't have to be boobies. Just yeah. We do not sex discriminate.
Hell no. Don't make me go into our clips, brother. I'm going to start screwing us all up.
Yeah.
But no, for the most part, the animation's pretty solid, but the fight scenes do feel like they're lacking quite a bit, at least until like the big episodes, like the first couple and the last couple. In the middle chunk, it just feels like they're going through the motions a little bit. The script is trying to find its way as they're trying to figure out, like, so what do we do with the light crystal, the dream crystal? Like, you're introducing quite a bit in 13 episodes, and you almost want to kind of pull back and not do that. Just give everybody a little more action, a little less story, especially in the mid 90s.
Yeah. And do you think this suffered from a lack of consistency through the 13 episodes, or continuity rather?
I would say so, because quite frankly, like, while I enjoy this show, it was hard to pay attention through all 13 episodes due to its tonally different like atmospheres going on. The stories were just like wild all over the place. Like, it seemed way too formula for me at times. And I'm like, Especially, but man, when that intro hits, it's like, yeah, let's fucking go. Oh, that's right. It's Skeleton Warriors.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It just made me think this is the fruit stripe gum of fucking cartoons.
Mentos fresher, Mentos fresh and full of life.
Well, no, it's like a fruit stripe gum. You chew it for like 15 seconds and the flavor is gone. Just gone.
Yeah. Like there's good, like Kevin said, there's good ideas in this show. They just they don't go anywhere. And I feel like that was probably why the show got pulled. It wasn't so much from like toy sales. I feel like the story just, they should have been a little bit more concise with what they were trying to do, or at least the first like 6-7 episodes. Then you could start tinkering around. It was 2 episodes and, oh, let's do something fucking new. Bro, what are you doing here? Like, focus on your fucking writing.
I'm afraid they weren't concerned with the writing at all. And I may be completely mistaken.
What? God damn it, Kevin. Come on, don't tell me that, brother.
I think they really were banking on those toy sales, and it just wasn't going to happen.
Did they hire Vince McMahon for this show?
No, dude, Vince would have sold that shit like a motherfucker.
But had them smack each other with steel chairs too anyway, so good point.
Or shit on them.
Shit on their hair.
Shit in their hair.
Just messing.
I'm going to choke on my coffee.
Could choke on something else.
Guitar.
Giggity.
So, now, were you excited to see Screech trying to get bony with was it Prince Justin? Yeah.
Yeah, Justin or Josh. Wait, Justin was the one who got deformed, right? And Joshua was the one who stayed handsome and Iron Man-esque.
Joshua became Grimheart or Grimface, whatever the fuck. Grimskull. Even though you don't see his skull.
Dude, name that drove me nuts, that name, because I kept thinking Grayskull the entire goddamn show.
Oh, I'm sure they were fucking banking on that too. Like, get those nostalgia motherfuckers.
Get them somehow, baby. I mean, cool name, but like, it's a little too close to
that. I did not care for the character at all, except for the one bit that he was basically the Shadow.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Robert Smith as the Shadow. And I'm just kind of like, fuck, man, get off of it. Just perk up a little bit.
Well, they did set that up to be something later on. Like, hey, he's got a little taste towards the darkness, and he's got a little bit of a psychic link to Baron Dark, but it's like the second that would ever flare up, it's like, ooh, you got my interest. And then it'd be like, episode's over. Ah, come on. You're going somewhere with this. That could have been very interesting. If they had another 13 episodes, maybe they could have played it up a little bit better. But that would have been a nice, like, tweener, so to speak. Somebody who goes between the dark side and the good side. But he ultimately finds his way back to humanity. And by the end of the show, he would be human again.
Yeah.
So I kind of see where they were going with that, but like it never felt like we were even close to that, like, at all. And if the writers had any inkling that they were going to get canceled after 13 episodes, they might have done it a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what did you think of his voice?
It was okay. To be fair, most of the voice actors were just kind of to me. Nobody really stood out otherwise, other than the narrator voice. What about you?
That's very polite. I thought that was the worst Dirty Harry impression I've ever heard. It really was. It was.
You know what? I didn't think about it that way until just now.
It was scathing to my ears.
And I was on a chalkboard almost.
And I get it. He's supposed to be a zombie, but even at like 97 years old, Clint Eastwood doesn't sound that Clint Eastwoody.
Clint Eastwood sounds way more coherent than that.
I don't know about that, but maybe
he does. Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my graveyard.
I miss him being the mayor of Carmel. He was cool. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The voice, and this is nothing against the actor, but just the monotone, the dry monotone for the character and the angst at the same time killed me. It was so grating the entire time. And then Justin, all I could hear was Solid or Liquid Snake. So I was super excited to go play fucking Metal Gear Solid later. That's probably what I'm going to go do this weekend.
Yep.
Sorry, dude. I love me some Metal Gear Solid.
Hey, Metal Gear Solid's pretty dope. But, you know, you had like Jeff Bennett voicing Justin Steele, Prince Lightstar. You had Jennifer Hale as Jennifer Steele / Talon. Love that. Michael Corbett as Joshua Steele Grimskull. And the rest of them is like, man, like most of them are just kind of, even Baron Dark, it's like, dude should have had more gravitas in his voice. And that's not a knock on Philip Clark, but like we could have had something a little more impactful and unique. And we didn't get that.
I don't know. I honestly think, well, I don't know if he would be the most unique of the cast, but I'd say he was second most unique character.
He was solid. So don't get me wrong, everybody. I just think something could have stood out more with Baron Dark rather than just his design.
Yes. Like the voice work, who stood out the most to me. Oh shit. I can't even think of the guy's name. He was always with Screech, the little guy who talked like he had like dirty Southern English, like British English.
Dude, you're talking Saved by the Bell, and I really don't remember that much.
Let me see. Now I gotta look up the names.
Time for some hardcore work.
Baron Dark, Corbin.
Well, Kevin's doing that. The only thing I'm going to talk about with Skeleton Warriors before we get into an episode breakdown is I think the figures were pretty okay. I don't remember them much, but like the iconic theme was actually pretty dope. I actually listened to it every single time, and I'm like, you know, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was Danny Mann voicing Dagger, by the way.
Dagger.
Yeah, had a very dirty British accent.
Very dirty British accent.
Like Stu Bennett.
You mean Ray Barrett?
Yeah.
Boom! I got some bad news for you, brother.
Love that shit. Anyway.
Dude, love Wade Barrett. I wish he was still wrestling. But he's a commentator now on Monday Night Raw, everybody. So, just saying.
And that's good shit talking.
Dude, I have always been a fan of him. I can't believe he's not wrestling, but he doesn't want to. He's very happy what he's doing, so.
Fuck yeah, he's getting a TV paycheck every night.
Well, he's doing what Taz did years ago.
Yeah. And
it's I don't really want to wrestle, but I got the gift of gab. So, hey, I'm going to go on commentary. Bro, he's killing it.
Yeah. And Taz killed it with Cole, too.
And Kaz is on AEW, and he's crushing it there, too.
Oh, shit. That's cool.
But I digress.
Do you?
Well, that's one of Taz's sayings on AEW, but I digress.
Oh. It's like, really, it seems like we're going in a better direction than where we've been so far.
Well, maybe we should steer it right back to Skeleton Warriors, Kevin.
All right, baby. Let's go through this.
All right. Flesh and Bone episode breakdown, everybody. Frustrated by his brother, King Justin, Prince Joshua Steele undertakes Baron Dark's task to steal the Lightstar Crystal. Justin arrives at the last minute as both he and Baron Dark seize the crystal, breaking it into two and transforming the Steels and Baron Dark. So this is basically the first couple of episodes where you watch Joshua and Justin kind of at odds as two brothers, and then Baron just kind of like, I'm going to manipulate one of these bitches into being on the dark side. Transforms him halfway, transforms himself into a pure skull or skeleton warrior, and we get going from there. Kevin, what do you think about these first two episodes? Flesh and Bone and Trust and Betrayal.
This was kind of cool. This was the interesting episode.
Yes.
This is where they had all the concepts coming together and you were being introduced to the characters. Some of them were really interesting at first. Some of them were not.
Yeah. The Guardian was kind of like lame.
Yeah. Guardian is best described as man-at-arms
Yep.
in a scuba suit.
And a bitch.
Sorta. Like, you want to like him as much as King Randor. I just don't.
Yeah, that's part of the problem is he's not really likable.
Yeah. Like, he's no Duncan. He's no King Randor. Nothing like that.
Nope.
Anyway. So I liked seeing the feud between Joshua and Justin. That made you think that Joshua is going to end up being the bad guy. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
okay. So this is going to be one of those Shakespearean type things. I'm down with that. And then no, he's getting used by Baron Dark, who cares nothing for him. Doesn't care if he's part of his gang or not. If he is, great. If he's not, fuck it. He's an ends to justify the means. And that worked out really well. Seeing them all have flesh, seeing them all look normal was really cool. And then seeing the flesh get, like, I want to say burned away from Baron Dark, but it's not nearly that gruesome, was really cool. That was fun to see.
Oh, yeah.
But then he started doing it to everyone else and giving them weird names. And you're just kind of like, oh, this is getting weird now.
Yeah, I wasn't too much of a fan of that, but it was nice to see the first introduction of all the transformation sequences. So you got to see how everybody evolved. Reminds me a little bit of the He-Man show we were just watching a little bit 2 weeks ago, where Skeleton, you see him in his normal form, so to speak, and then he gets transformed into Skeletor within like basically 3 minutes. But I mean, I feel like they fell apart when they tried to design Baron Dark as too much of a Skeletor ripoff, just without the cloak and everything. I'm like, you could have done something a little more interesting with this design.
They could have made him a little bit more simplistic and made him look like the final phase of Evil Ash, where he's just the skeleton.
True.
Like, that looked really cool. But they didn't. They gave him a decent enough design, I think. But they didn't make him interesting until the end. And that's where I don't know if they were going to cross him over with that Mummy cartoon that they had going on around the same time. Or if
I have no idea, bro.
I don't even remember what the name of that stupid show was, but it was like mummies come back to life since in our time, and they're going to fight it out with like lasers and shit.
Oh, that's right. I remember that show now.
It looked so stupid.
Jeez, that was wild.
But no, he looked okay. He could have looked better. His fangs that looked a lot like Skeletor's from the movie, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh,
but otherwise, he was an improvement from his flesh form.
I would argue
he looked
that
like
as
Calabac.
well. I just would have liked a little more like oomph on his design. Like they could have given him a little more edge and a little bit different from everything else we've been seeing already. Because for like the last 15 years, we're pretty accustomed to, like, I know we keep bringing it up, but Skeletor, so to speak. Like you want to have a different look, not just a little different. You kind of want something similar, but very unique. And unless you get zoomed in on his like skull, you don't see the teeth that are the different. Otherwise, he's just not wearing purple.
Yeah. And really nothing that spectacular about Baron Dark compared to the rest of the cast or the rest of Skeleton Warriors. Yeah. But I mean, Dagger, he's got the dirty British accent. He looks stubby and gross. There's the other creature that I want to say looked like Shiva, but it's just another species. The one that they were actually at war with before Baron Dark's attack.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call her Shiva. Screech. Yeah. She had a great design. Everyone had a really neat design compared to Baron Dark. It was okay, but it could have looked cooler, I think. Even by being more simplistic. Oh, and Baron Dr. Cyborn. He most certainly stood out more than Baron Dark.
Yeah, I liked him the best of all of the batch of the evil baddies. So it's kind of fun to watch him.
My favorite scene was where the uncle welds his hand, the cyborg's hand,
Yeah,
to the metal table, and he can't get his arm
let me
away.
free.
That was awesome. Like, why haven't they done that shit in a movie? That's cool.
That would be pretty dope.
Do it to Luke. Do it to Luke.
Yeah, man. You're not. I am your father. No. I'm gonna weld myself to this little thing, and then you shoot me off, and I lose my other hand.
Justin's gonna get mad at us for making fun of Star Wars.
Come on, bitch. Bring it on. Dude, we're going to be doing Star Wars month in July, so that'll be a fun one for everybody. So buckle up. We're doing the OT trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter will love that.
Oh, she will actually, huh?
Harley? Fuck yeah, dude. Harley's all
Did any
about
of your
Star Wars.
kids watch any of this show at all, by the way?
Our show?
No,
No.
Skeleton
Oh, Hunter.
Warriors at all.
Zoe watched like 5 minutes of it, I think, because she wanted to know what I was watching. Like, she wants to help with the show. And
Gotcha. What did she think?
she gave it 3 to 5 minutes at best and took off. And she's like, I'm gonna go bug hunter, and started like picking on her older brother.
Damn, that's cold.
Zoe's got huevos.
Zoe tapped the fuck out.
She's a mean chick, dude. Fucking I feel bad for her.
She wants some badass shit. You might as well just play Phantasm 2 for her. She'd probably stick around for that one.
I didn't tell you what I fucking walk in on Harley watching anymore. She watches the bathroom scene from the remake of It.
What?
Yeah, where Beverly's trying to clean the bathroom and all the blood guts shooting out from the sink.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, honey, turn this off. And my kids have gotten into this phase where they don't listen to anything I say because if I yell at them, my wife's going to yell at me and tell me to leave. So, like, they just wait for me to fucking yell. So, like, mom will protect them. And so I'm just kind of,
Daddy's yelling.
I said it twice. I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what? Fuck it. See what happens to your side. You want to know what it's like to be me? Do you want to know what it's like to see this shit every time you close your eyes? Watch then. Watch it. Well, I'll watch it with you. I like this movie. We watched it. Then my wife was like, why are you watching this? Because she wanted to watch it. She wouldn't turn it off.
And Mike, it's just Star Wars. There is no episode 4, A New Hope, or any of that bullshit. It's just Star Wars.
Balls. By the time we were old enough to watch it and realize what it was already episode 4.
Oh, fuck off. It was Star Wars to begin with me.
I mean, yes, it was always Star Wars, and then we called it Star Wars 2. And
well, it was Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
They're not Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, not Star Wars 5, The Empire Strikes Back, not Star Wars 6, Return of the Jedi. Like, that's all bullshit from Lucas. Like, you can have the scrolls like that. Okay, we'll get into it when we get into July, everybody. We know we're probably going to have some, like, huge fights on that shows. It's kind of the point.
I could hear Bill Murray singing in my head.
So tune in, everybody. July is going to be, we're going to do Battle Beyond the Stars. We're going to do Star Wars, the original trilogy. Then we got another space little show in there that's probably going to like drive everybody crazy because it's going to be a crash of stars.
Hollywood stars. Booyah! Oh.
Boom, baby. Big McLarge, huge.
So, but yeah, the circling back around to the first 2 episodes, it was a neat setup to a story of how this kingdom came to fall, and the last ruler is trying to salvage the land. Like, he doesn't have an army behind him. He's got his uncle, the former prince, and otherwise that's about it. he has
Yeah, the
his
son
sister
has to
and his
grow
brother.
up, and the other son has to fight about like, I really wanted to be king, but I can't because I'm such a bitch.
Mm-hmm. He got the
Mm.
bitch complex. And that
Bitch,
bad
bitch,
Honeyfoot
bitch.
accent.
Money, bitch.
And he keeps talking like this. Stop talking like that, Grimskull.
Oh God, the voice on that just drove me crazy this
You
whole show.
I sound like an idiot. Why?
It sounds like Christian Bale trying to be Batman, bro.
But not with any gusto whatsoever. Like, you don't get to hear
That
about the
dude.
rabbits.
Where's Rachel?
Who?
Exactly. So I mean, there's some choices made with this show that may not have helped or played out well in the long run, but at least with episode 3, we get Heart and Soul, where the Steels fight off the skeletons that raided a settlement, and Talon rescues the only survivor, Ferris. As Baron Dark plots to kill the Steels. Oh my God, these are long titles. Ferris tells Talon to dishonor his Ferris tells Talon his dishonor made him survive, and he is transformed into a skeleton warrior by Baron Dark. It's not fucking Talon. The fuck is up with you? Okay, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm only gonna read like the first sentence. It's great, yeah. Like they're screwing with Grimskull, like which seems to be the running gag in this fucking show. And they screw around with Grimskull and his like loyalty to everybody. And he ends up being like pretty loyal, but he ends up having issues trying to fight a psychic connection to Baron Dark. End of story. That's like half the show right there.
Yeah. Yeah, they play that card 3 or 4 times, at least.
I counted 6.
Shit.
I was like, bro, like, we cannot be doing this every goddamn episode. Oh, we can't trust him. He's the former prince, but he's evil. They do that 6 fucking times in 13 episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot of defense, family defense, like the family coming to one another's defense.
You'd think after 2 or 3 times they'd be all right, cool, we get it. He's on board.
Or he's a liability.
Or get rid of the fucker and smoke his ass already.
He's
got half of the damn light crystal anyway. Which, to be honest, this show feels like it's pulling a lot from like the dark crystal at times.
A little bit. I could see that. The fracturing of power and the balance and whatnot.
Yep. Evil and good.
And then they bring in science and it's just stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, the thing I did like about this episode was the whiny guy who didn't have very good self-esteem. Like, I'm not a very good guy. I'm a coward. I'm a bad guy because I ran away. Yeah, being a bitch does not make you a bad person. It just makes you a fucking survivalist. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I applaud you, sir. You got the fuck out and lived.
Bravo.
So then he becomes a skeleton warrior. And
skeleton warriors.
Talon has to save him, has to save his soul and his body.
Yep.
It was okay.
Yeah. We're
gets
hitting that
back.
part of the show where it's like, these are okay now.
Like, this is what happens. And that's just, it ends after that. You don't really know what the resolution is. He turns back. There was a couple of explosions. The skeletons blew up, slowly came back together, and the good guys already ran away before the bad guys got up.
Pretty much.
And that's the next 12 episodes.
Until the last 2 episodes. That's basically what we got for formula. So we're probably going to be running through these next few episodes pretty quick. Episode 4, Bones of Contention. Grimskull goes on an undergoes a mission to recover Baron Dark's half of the light crystal. Returns with nothing but a data crystal while his companions are captured. Bro, you suck at your job. You're fired.
You suck.
I mean, this was okay. There was a I did write something down where like the Joshua and Justin relationship is actually pretty interesting with this show. And I think that's what's keeping this show kind of moving for me. But also like we take a licking and keep on ticking was kind of a line I heard. And I'm like, wow, there's some pop culture references going on in the show now.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was, I don't want to say it was relevant, but it was aware of itself, and it worked well in that regard. It wasn't so cheesy that it was an eye roll. I mean, there was a lot of eye rolling lines in here, like calling the good guys fleshies. Oh, they're so disgusting for having flesh.
I would have had the Energizer Bunny coming rolling through going boom, 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 and then run right back out.
Right. I mean, skeleton chicks are still hot. Anyway.
Goth chicks.
Goth chicks. Ultimate goth chicks.
Dude, we're about to get into that with episode 5. After Baron Dark plunders the town of Romney, a lady called Zara drops by her old friends, the Steels. Lightstar brings an attack on Romney, only to be pinned down by Baron Dark. After preventing the skeletons from entering, Lightstar finds Zara sold them out to Baron Dark in exchange for plunder, food, and medicine. But the big surprise of this episode, everybody, is that Zara was always into Joshua. Or wait, Justin. Yeah, it's Justin, the half zombie guy. She's like, you know, it might have seemed like I liked your brother, but I always loved you, Justin. Justin!
Why do you like me?
And I know that was so like, oh wow, we're forcing something now.
You know, it's not just my big head that's all shriveled up and dry now, too.
Yeah, it's shriveled and to the left this time. It happens to many guys our age.
Have you ever taken mushrooms? It looks like that.
And anything blue that's
anything blue
and ends an agra on it, you might want to slip one of those two. Because I'm half dead, but from the waist down, it's not dead at all, baby, when I get one of those.
Why was his dog a zombie too?
Oh, God. What they call it, bad dog?
No, dude. Stalker.
Well, that was the living dog.
I'm
thinking of the skeleton dog.
I don't remember.
That was so funny. I'm like, did you really just call that bitch like bad dog? And then you called the living one stalker? Like, what are we doing here? Are you trying to groom us all?
Yeah, like, I
was just like, what is going on with the dogs in this? Like, you're a good boy. I'm going to turn, because you're half like darkness. I'm going to make you a skeleton dog. And then a couple episodes later, oh, we need to have a counterpart dog. So we're going to make one like a total badass, yet a stalker.
But you know, here's my philosophy on that. That was funny and it was cool to a point, but I like to think that there are no bad dogs. So it wouldn't have really worked out.
That's true. It's like Krypto from Superman. He's a good boy.
Yeah, man. Just
they do stupid things, but they're good boys.
The horse too. How did he turn the horse evil? Or where did he get a fucking evil horse? I've never met an evil horse before, and I live with like tons of fucking horses. Never met an evil horse.
Well, the thing that got me was like towards the end of the series, and they got like a tons of like skeleton hordes like fucking everywhere. I'm like, wait, where'd all these bitches come from?
Where have they been? Now it's cool.
Just saying.
That's where them
they just showed the fuck up, bro. It looked like there was a million of them. Like, yo, and you ain't stormed the fucking like living people yet? What is wrong with you?
Well, he was starting to become a plague at that point. He didn't need to do it personally. He had that cannon that could fucking just turn people. And also that they didn't already need to be bad. He could just turn whoever he wanted into skeleton warriors, regardless.
Just about everybody. They had to be pure if they couldn't be turned.
Oh.
like the prince. Like they could not. He tried to turn him and he could not. He's like, oh, what is going on here? There's only like a couple people he couldn't turn. Talon was one, and like Prince Joshua was the other. So unfortunately, he couldn't turn everybody.
You guys are a bunch of pussies.
Where's Rachel?
Tell me about the wabbits.
Where's Rachel?
We need a listener named Rachel. Be like, right here.
Oh, I know a couple Rachels outside that are subscribed to our channel. I'm like,
Thank you.
Rachel, come on, girl. You know you want to chime in. Well, it'll probably be on a replay for her because it's a little bit of a different time zone for her.
That's okay. That makes you even cooler.
Hells yeah. Bring it on, everybody. All right. Well, after Zara, episode 5, we got Mind Games. Grimskull suffers frequent torments in his mind. Sounds like a migraine to me. He must be married. From Baron Dark's mind, from Baron Dark's mind link. While Baron Dark continues to work on a dream infiltration device. So, yeah, Baron Dark gets a little bit nefarious in episode 6, where they start actually messing with dreams and whatnot. It ultimately fails for him because I think the Guardian like blows up the lab that they were in. This is about where I feel the show is starting to lose its footing a little bit. It gets a little boring at this point. So this episode didn't really jive with me. I feel like other shows do this concept like way better.
That's true. But to add to your point, this is the first episode where you get that repetitious plot line of Joshua is vulnerable to Baron Dark's mind control. So, yeah, gosh, you know, if it would have been this one time, that would have been fine. It still would have been meh, but it would have been fine. It's the fact that they did this 6 more times after that. You're just kind of like, fuck, okay, we get it. Liability. I don't know. That's I didn't care for that, and I didn't care for the excessive usage of it.
Call your homeowner's insurance, everybody. You're going to need a policy check on that one.
Yeah. But what I did enjoy about this is where Screech recognizes Guardian, and he throws a fucking cinder block on her chest and puts her at the bottom of a pond so she can't get up. She can't breathe, but she can't get up either. She's just sitting there in the water looking at him as he's walking into the factory.
Well, you mentioned Shriek, and the most interesting part about this episode is she admits she's always had a crush on Justin. And it's like, wait a minute, who the fuck were you before to have a crush on Justin? I mean, I know he was a prince, so clearly you had a thing for princes, but you had a thing for Justin? Girl, like Stacy's mom does not have it going on.
She could have, though. I bet you she rides like the demon.
Well, when she was transformed into human form, I'm like, you know what? They actually designed her very good for human form for Shriek.
Yeah.
She
was up there with evil.
To be honest, they gave her butt cheeks. Like, I know that's fucking stupid. Whatever. I don't care. Like, they actually gave her definition to her body to make her feel like a little bit on the sexy evil side. And so when they would get into that, they would design some of these characters very well.
Yeah. Even the dimples in the butt cheeks.
Giggity. Hey, that's usually your line, bro.
Booty.
Booty. Well, anything else about episode 6, or should we keep on moving, Kevin?
Let's keep on trucking, baby.
Harmonic Divergence, episode number 7. As Baron Dark's forces bomb the North City, Lightstar and his companions come to the city's aid, narrowly escaping. And let's see, what do I got for this one myself? Nothing. I wrote this is a pretty stupid episode.
They have bombs. That was the plot of the episode.
Yep. I was like,
the bad guys had
wow,
big
how
weapons.
clever.
Yeah.
I just sat there watching
it-
it going like, can I take a nap now with this one? Like, bro, this was kind of lame.
This episode should have the episode title should have been given to the next episode, I think.
I would say so. The past, perfect future, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It just the title harmonic alone fits the plot of the next episode so much better.
Bro, right? This one was just like, just call it Bombs Away or something.
Yes. Yeah. Something tacky, but like
Effective.
within the realm of what we're going to see, because this was all about the Skeleton Warriors having bombs, and they haven't had bombs before, and they're taking it out on different villages and stuff. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's intense, but not that interesting and intense. I don't know. I
God,
didn't.
when I watched this, I was just bored out of my fucking mind, to be honest with you. I'm like, what the hell is this even doing here? I mean, it was probably because they expected to have like 26 episodes, and they could be like, let's get a filler in here so we can get to some actual storyline episodes in the next couple. And this was the throwaway one they had.
Well, this suffers from the same thing that the original He-Man suffered from. And it's, you've got a plot of the week, or plot of the episode even. And the bad guy, whether it be Baron Dark or Skeletor or Mumra or somebody like that, has got a different plot each week to try to beat the bad guys. And it's just, there's no continuity or consistency to it. It's just, oh, it was the time where he tried to do this. It was the time where he tried to do that. He tried to take over this. And that's what this suffered from, I think. And this episode was one of the worst parts of it because it wasn't memorable.
I would completely agree, because that is literally the one episode I have the least amount of notes on. I literally wrote, this is an okay episode. I'm officially bored.
Yeah. Yep. I can't say I checked out at this point, but
I was getting there with this one. I'm like, how much more do I want to watch?
Yeah, I realized that there was a good part of this episode that I missed, and I was like, oh, did I? No, I heard everything they said. Okay, well, whatever.
This, and there's one more episode where I'm like, man, there's only a couple more episodes left. I'm just going to pull through.
Remember, this is for posterity and integrity.
Well, the three I's, intelligence, and integrity. Well, past perfect and future tense is episode number 8. Lightstar and his companions attempt to get one from a mine, but Baron Dark detonates the bomb to flood the tunnels. The Steels and Guardians narrowly make it to safety, climbing up onto the mountains. And I think I wrote down, this is the Snowy Mountain episode, and this was actually pretty interesting because this is where we finally get to see Stalker and Grimskull starting to be able to fight off Baron Dark's mine probes. So Baron Dark's not exactly getting as much information as he would prefer. So there was a nice little update to the story here.
Yes. This was one of the few moments of continuity in the series. So that was nice to see. Because there is a degradation of that control between the first or the 6th episode and then the 13th or 12th.
Yep.
Or was it? Yeah, he had no control by the 13th episode, I don't think. Anyway.
Oh, Baron? Yeah, he was starting to be like, oh, I can't exactly get as much information as I would like out of him, and I was. And then by the end of these 13 episodes, he's just like, shit, I'm screwed.
Yeah, he wasn't important anymore by the end.
It's like, damn, I lost control of my ace up the sleeve here.
Yeah. But, this had some fun moments to it. Again, like you said, I liked Streaker. I mean, Stalker.
Stalker.
Streaker. We're going streaking!
Woo, let's go.
I liked his design,
Eh.
even though he was like very questionable. Like, where did the dog come from? What did the dog do to get cursed? Like, I've never seen a bad dog. Does the dog have angst too? Is he going to sit there and fucking howl all the time because he's sad?
Yeah, probably.
But then you get to see Justin fighting through the shadows and stuff as the shadow would. Not as cool as the shadow would, but in the same fashion. And it was really kind of neat. One of those moments where you're like, I like this concept.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Like this actually stands out as a pretty smart, intelligent episode. It actually plays into the ongoing storyline, whereas the next one and the one before, like we go from harmonic divergence to this actually very interesting episode to the next one where it kind of just drops again. It's like, yo, are we watching Grodd from like fucking Flash? Like, what are we doing here? Because they get the monkey tribe in the next one.
In this one, the part that made it interesting is this is where they came up with the weapon to shatter the parts of the crystals.
Yes.
From a distance, and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be important. And it is. They just I don't think they hit this weapon as hard as they could going through the rest of the season.
Agreed.
Like they could really be threatening the bad guys with this thing, and it's not that big of a threat.
Exactly.
So could have been a Tide Turner.
What's that, Mike? Streaking was so 70s, bro. You were not alive in the 80s, were you?
He was probably responsible by the 80s, dude.
That's what your mom said.
What?
Your mom went to college.
My mom never called me responsible, not a single once.
I'll never call you responsible.
No, not a single once.
But what we are responsible for is episode 9. Ugh.
I'm not claiming
Brawl
that shit.
and Chain. Man, this episode title is just terrible. Like ass, like right off the bat. Baron Dark's new juggernaut, the Gorgon battleship. So now we're doing aerial battles now, everybody, with ships. Has finished construction. Lightstar and Talon go on to the Semigon Kingdom to warn them about the threat, but King Dorgon has Dagger and Shriek as diplomats, forcing both sides to be civil. This is pretty average of an episode. I do like the two sides kind of playing off against each other, against kind of a neutral parties trying to sway a nation, but ultimately it falls apart, and they do end up siding with the good guys. So good guys won, and it's an interesting episode, but overall it's also kind of boring.
Yes, and
I hate to say it, but it's basically it.
Yeah, like the apes come in at the end and have been watching the entire time and judge the skeletons by their actions. Yay, end of the episode.
Well, episode 10, everybody. We're moving right along now.
Choo-choo!
Overlord. It's Overload. The Legion of Light begin a siege against the Baron Dark's forces in the middle of their preparations until Shriek shoots Talon out of the sky. This is a pretty interesting episode. I do like this. They do end up having to rescue Talon, and there's a lot of sister and family themes going on in this one. So I do appreciate seeing like the family dynamic actually more back in play, because they don't reference it a whole lot. And that's about what I got for this episode.
Agreed. This is where I checked out.
This is one I was like,
yeah, when the prince and the princesses, or princess and the princes, are pointing fingers at each other, like who does this?
Princesses.
And who does that? No. Anyway,
They're all a bunch of bitches.
Yes.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Shut up, bitches.
Bitches. Wait, do I have that clip in here?
You did.
Because you know, when I convert this to audio, I'm just going to straight up like, I ain't going to insert it. Where is that one?
I got that from the Lonely Island, where they're talking about Santana DBX. I see you bitches is enjoying my wine.
Shut up, bitches.
There we go. Found it.
I can hardly wait.
Old school, Kevin.
HPV.
All right, last clip for a little bit, everybody.
All right. Let's finish the shit.
All right, that was Overload. That was kind of lame. All right, let's get into Long Live the King. Baron Dark attempts to stabilize his half of the light star crystal, but fails. Desperate to eliminate the Legion of Light, Baron Dark concocts a plan to impersonate the Steel's father and lure them away from the castle, while his half of the crystal is overloading. This is where the show starts to pick back up again. We go through a couple like pretty lame episodes, and like here we go, like a beeline to the end. This is like the precursor to the final 2 episodes, and I do like how it escalates everything pretty quickly at this point. And let's see, what do I got for notes? Oh, they tried to get you the father back. No, psych. Dad ain't back. He's still dead, bitch.
He's still dead. Sucker. They thought they found his friend.
Yep. And I appreciated the fact that they did a little bit of like a Star Wars thing where he had a hologram, or Superman thing where he had a little message for his sons being like, you got to stay the course. You could defeat him, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, that's okay. I appreciate that. That's fine.
Don't be bitches.
Shut up, bitches.
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 No, I did like this episode, though. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, these last 3 are actually pretty on point for me. And it starts with Long Live the King. It's like, oh, that's getting nasty up in here with the storytelling.
It got a
So
little
we got
heavy.
away from the formula.
Yeah. Yes, actually, that's exactly what it is. It gave you something to chew on.
Yeah. And I don't know, Baron Dark as a design is fine, but like his character's fucking nasty. It reminds me of like Skeletor being a little bit more of a douche nozzle.
Yeah.
Like if you want that, everybody needs to go on X and check out Skeletor's like Twitter profile. Kevin knows all about that one.
Fuck yes, I do.
I'm subscribed to that guy, and boy, that dude's on point. That's fantastic.
The nastiest memes you could possibly find, and they're great.
What was that guy's handle again?
Real Bad Skeletor.
Yep, Real Bad Skeletor. So, highly recommend everybody check that out. Dude is hilarious. Absolutely love it. But on this episode, you got any other thoughts, Kevin?
I do not know. Other than you see a great big character turn between the end of this episode and the beginning of the next episode. There's like a huge character change for Justin.
Yeah, and that's when we get into the conflict and consequences, part 1 and 2. Basically, the skeletons attack the Legion of Light's camp looking for the crystal's other half, and Grimskull is sent to take their crystal half to secure a place, while the others launch a retaliatory attack on Baron Dark's Coliseum. Baron Dark cuts Grimskull off at the bridge and tosses him off in the crystal half. That was actually pretty dope for an end of the episode, where it's like, oh shit, I think Baron Dark just killed fucking somebody. It's like, damn, they saved that for the kind of the end.
And all you hear is streaker, a stalker.
Let's go streaking
In the snow. Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I wasn't terribly fooled because again, it's just dark down there, so he's just gonna fall into a shadow. It's all good.
Or a pond or a lake or whatever.
Yeah, and he's a zombie anyway. It's okay. He's not.
He ain't dead.
Yeah,
but it was pretty cool to think about it for a split second. Like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, it definitely left you on that cliffhanger, and I'm glad that they ended it that way as opposed to having that be the final episode.
Agreed.
And then wait until next season to bring it back, because that's how they ended X-Men. X-Men ended on. I mean, it does to a point have an ending to that first season, but there is a cliffhanger letting you go into the next season. And thank God it got picked up for the next season.
You're telling me. X-Men's one of the best shows. That and like Batman the Animated Series are like my total jams. So
Yeah. They got married. Scott and Jean got married in the comics because of the cartoon, I think.
damn right, brother. It's the way it should have been. Fuck it. Fuck Wolverine. You can go hang and bang with a bunch of other bitches.
Little Short King.
Little Short King. But no, between these two final episodes, like this was on point. I'm like, all right, I am sold because like Baron Dark's getting a little bit nastier, getting a little more thoughtful with his plots. And ultimately, by the end, you think Leicester might have gotten the best of Baron Dark, and you think he might be dead. But I have my doubts because the narrator ultimately tells you, oh, there's much more nefarious things out in this world than just Baron Dark.
Yep. And golly, I would like to point out we've said the word Skeletor a few times, but
Skeletor rules.
They really went Skeletor in this final episode, giving him the gold suit when he evolves with the crystal at the end. Again, he looked like one of those warrior mummy things, but very much an homage to the gold Skeletor.
I think so. I think that was, like you said, it's an homage. It's not ripping anything off. They wanted to pay tribute to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie.
Yeah, and that's all it was. It was not a conceptual ripoff. I mean,
it doesn't feel like that at all. So yeah.
No, it very well could be a coincidence too. But to me, having that knowledge of seeing the movie, yeah, that's kind of what happens at the end of the movie too. He wins, he evolves, and he turns into gold. Yeah,
and I didn't mind that at all. I actually thought that was pretty interesting to be able to see that in that form, and it gave the story a little bit of a bite to it. Like, oh shit, dude's leveling up, man. This ain't gonna be good, but ultimately it is a satisfying like ending to the show. But ultimately at the same time, it's not. It's one of those weird kind of endings where you feel like there was more story to tell. You could absolutely feel it.
Yes. And they probably could have done a really good job. I'm going to guess if they would have let Eric and Julia write more episodes, that would have happened.
I think 13 more episodes. I think this show would have been like one of those, oh, damn, this show is really good. And it's going to get renewed for another season or two.
Yeah.
It never got to that point. And it should have had 13 more episodes to at least finish up their current storylines.
Yep.
So, but that's what we do here on Nostalgia TV, the Graveyard Shift of Forgotten Television Shows. Did any of you remember this show? If you did, hey, we do these live, so make sure you've got a little comment in our live chat section, or you comment down below. We might to include that in eventually. Kevin, you got any other thoughts on Skeleton Warriors?
You know what? I am probably going to forget everything that happened in the last 13 episodes by the time my head hits the pillow tonight.
Dude, that makes two of us, bro.
This is not a very memorable show. It is a very memorable theme song.
Hell yeah.
It has a very memorable villain design, and that's about it. Otherwise, it's an interesting enough fight show, but it's very much like watching a Hanna-Barbera show from the 70s. It's got a whole lot of weirdness to it, mixing monsters with technology.
It's like the Herculoid show.
Yeah. Yes, actually.
Which, in and of itself, that's an enjoyable show, but I'd only watch that like maybe one more time in my life before I'm like, I'm good.
I'd rather watch
it when I was a kid. I watched it as an adult, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm good. But I enjoyed the show. There is some fun to it. I wouldn't call this one a keeper, though, to be honest with anybody. Like, it's not that great. It's worth watching once just to say, oh, I see what everybody's talking about with the theme song, and it's an interesting show. It's a quick binge. It's only 13 episodes, about 22, 23 minutes long. So you can kind of bust through this pretty quick. And hey, if you absolutely need to on YouTube, hit that speed times 1.5. You'll get the same effects and enjoy the same amount of dialogue and everything. It'll actually speed things up. Uh-oh, what's Mike saying?
I'm just thinking how much I hate watching things on 1.5 speed, but yeah, this time might have been okay.
I watched about 2 or 3 episodes on 1.5 speed just to kind of like, okay, let's just see how this works for this show. Dude, it got me through like 3 episodes in like 40 minutes. I was super happy with that. But then when it got to actually interesting episodes, I kind of pulled it back. So
it's like during Hannibal, I'm able to fast forward during the like 5 minutes of stalking that they had each episode.
Yeah, true.
No dialogue whatsoever, just people following each other.
Yeah, let's go on an adventure
with skeleton warriors.
I was gonna say Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
No.
The Rescue Rangers.
I like Rescue Rangers. Actually, I just bought that for my kids.
Oh, that's a fun show. That is a really good show.
Yeah, I just got the entire series for Rescue Rangers and Goof Troop for the kids.
Yeah.
For the kids.
And Mike out there, we see your comment here. We actually I actually saw this comment on Nerdrotic's channel the other day. He was saying like you might want to keep shorts for a separate channel rather than keeping it on your main channel. We tried a couple episodes. They got some views, no subs at all. So if you are going to do like a YouTube channel, you want to keep it to a short channel specifically and keeping your other content on like longer form live streams, things like that on a separate channel because it ain't going to jive with your algorithm.
That sounds like Zach Evergreen advice.
Kinda, yeah. And Zach, we will talk to you soon, and a few other people who are interested in our Stargate shows. We're going to be talking to a little everybody else soon as well. But Kevin, any final thoughts on Skeleton Warriors before we say goodnight?
No. So I'm going to say good night to everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you, because that's about as good as we felt making it to the end of the episode of Skeleton Warriors.
Rock on, bitches! So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you sign up to the Suns and Shadows channel down below. Hit the bell notification when you subscribe, and like the video on the way out. It does help with the algorithm. All 14 of you. Just having fun. That's all we like to do here. So, and also make sure you check out Kevin on Twitter at KCS Kevin Smith. I am Jeff at Suns and Shadows on Twitter /X as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Say goodbye, Kevin.